The YouTube platform was released almost 20 years ago, and within those 20 years of content creation, some of the creators that people knew and loved were seriously horrible people behind the cameras. Today, I wanted to look at 4 creators who were arrested, and this won't be a stupid video where someone gets arrested for a prank and then gets immediately released right after. I think we should take it one step further and look at some of the creators who were arrested and then sentenced to serve jail time. Some of these creators were imprisoned for some stupid antics online, but others did some seriously terrible and sinister things and are still behind bars as I'm writing the script for this video. Now, obviously with a video like this, we needed a sponsor, so thank you to Ridge Wallet for sponsoring today's video. I'll pass the video over to the future me, who will run over the Ridge Wallet to see just how durable it actually is. At this point, you are all acquainted with Ridge Wallet, so I wanted to put the Ridge Wallet to the test to see if it's as strong as they say it is. But first, I wanted to show you this cool new design that I got sent just in case my old wallet gets broken during this test. Now, my old wallet was used for almost 2 years now, so it does have some minor scuffs, which is common, but let's see if those minor scuffs become major scuffs after we run it over with a Jeep. Okay, no cuts. Let's see if it gets damaged. Wow, I'm actually surprised that there's no damage at all. Just some tire marks, which makes the Ridge Wallet look that much cooler. Now, we put the Ridge Wallet to the test with its durability, but the Ridge Wallet offers so much more as well, like a multitude of different designs and colors, and RFID blocking, which helps stop virtual pickpocketers from stealing your money without touching it. So what are you waiting for? If you support the channel, click the link in the description and use code BILLS for 10% off of your order. Keep your credit card safe from virtual pickpocketers and car tires. Again, when we look back at just the YouTube landscape, we could see that there are a ton of YouTubers who have gotten arrested. This could be due to a number of different reasons, and today we look at these content creators and see what put them behind bars and what's keeping them behind bars. Viewer discretion moving forward. This video does get a little bit dark, so if that stuff bothers you, please be aware of that if you want to continue watching this video. Now, in a world of thrill-seeking content creators, Trevor Jacob has to be the dumbest one of them all. Now, Trevor Jacob was a part-time YouTuber for over 10 years, posting videos sporadically within that time frame. But that's because he was a full-time thrill-seeker. He'd jump over trains on a snowmobile or train hop across the United States. And even worse, would skydive out of an airplane completely naked onto a public beach with little kids around. It's weird, I know, but his biggest video came out in December of 2021, when he'd jump out of an airplane and have it crash into a mountain. In a video titled "I Crashed My Airplane," Trevor did just that, crashed his airplane. But there was a lot of discrepancies within his video. He'd point out that his engine failed, which was the reason why he had to bail out of the plane, but before the engine completely stopped, people pointed out that the door to the cockpit was already slightly open. Other people claimed that he didn't even try to turn the plane back on before jumping out of it, and also how he already had a parachute on, which you wouldn't wear unless you intended on jumping out of a plane. The final and most damning evidence that something was up was when Trevor hiked many miles to retrieve the footage from the plane crash of the plane crash. Now, this video was amplified when other creators within the aviation community started to look at the footage a lot closer. Trent Palmer reacted to the crash and gave his honest input on if Trevor's plane engine failed or if Trevor just crashed the plane on purpose for a stunt.
Like he's trying to slow the plane down to stall speed. And the only reason I can think that he's doing that is just to try to get the prop to stop for dramatic effect. If you were to have your engine quit, which, you know, I guess I should go back to this. It's not that I don't have any ground to stand on. I have had engine failure over the mountains, similar to this. I was at a much lower altitude. Mine didn't quit in the way that was like fuel starvation or anything. I had a mechanical failure and the thing stopped so violently I didn't have to do anything to stop the prop. But when I've shut off the engine, you know, in the past, the force from the wind will make the prop windmill. And this is even on a Rotax with a high compression engine. On something like this Continental or whatever's on this Taylorcraft, it's gonna be lower compression, just the air blowing over, it's gonna windmill the prop. And what it looks like he's doing here, and this is again, at least in the way it plays out in the video, is right after the engine failed, he's pulling it back to stall and basically sitting there trying to get it as slow as he can, which is not what you do when your engine quits. You pitch for best glide, or at least deal with flying the aircraft and start looking for somewhere to land. And while on that topic of looking for somewhere to land, I mean, at this angle right now, there's not a ton of great places to land. Although even this, you know, grassy hillside looks, you know, manageable. But anyway, it's a little suspect that he's immediately pulling on the yoke, trying to get it slow. It's also suspect that his door's already unlatched. I don't know. Now he got the prop to stop. I'd be really interested to see the inside angle because he has 2 other cameras inside the plane, but for some reason he doesn't show anything going on inside until this angle, and now it looks like he's holding on to the camera.
Holy, I'm over the mountains and I get out of the engine out.
Not even like looking for a place to land. Oh, that thing's like buffeting on stall right now, which I guess if you're jumping out of a plane and you have the option to slow it down, I guess you do.
Oh, shit.
Okay, again, there's a ton of things that are just wrong about this video, but aside from him deciding to fly with a skydiving parachute instead of one that you would use for test flying or you know, the seat back ones that you use in an airplane, if he's really in an emergency situation right now, this is life or death, why would he be, well, one, why would you have a camera in your hand and selfie it, but why are you tracking out and looking back and posing for something like this, looking at your airplane? I'm sure he's going to say something like, you know, I was making sure that the airplane wasn't going to fly at me or hit me when I was, you know, when I had the chute deployed, but it's fishy. And then also right behind him, I mean, that looks like a pretty nice little like gravel wash or sand wash that I'm fairly confident you can land your plane in. Still free falling. How to get that shot? He pull out his phone to film the plane crashing? Yeah, look at this whole wash behind him. That looks like a totally landable spot. And then, you know, when it comes to emergency landings, in a scenario like this, say his engine actually did fail, emergency landings are made to save lives, not airplanes. And I can, with fairly high confidence, say that there's somewhere in that wash that you could glide to that you're going to be able to walk away from. It might wreck your plane, but again, at that point, it should be insurance's airplane. You go and try to land your airplane. It's just the hazard that he's creating by jumping out of the airplane and just letting it fly is ridiculous. Again, I'll circle back to this, but
after the crash happened, Trevor was supposed to preserve the crash to make sure that nothing was touched before the investigation into how the engine eventually failed. But a few days later, Trevor airlifted the plane out of the crash site and dismantled it. Because of this, Trevor went through a lengthy trial, but in December of 2023, Trevor was sentenced to 6 months in prison due to obstructing a federal investigation. Trevor was probably the dumbest creator on this list, who recorded himself doing this stunt and even put it on the internet, and even though he didn't hurt anyone, he definitely could have, which is what landed him in jail. Omi in a Hellcat was a creator that I was going to make a video on well before he was sentenced to prison time. Omi is a creator, or was a creator, who showed off a braggadocious lifestyle. He'd have videos showing off his cars, his huge houses, and his expensive jewelry collections. These videos captivated an audience of over 800,000 subscribers. Well, one could wonder how Omi got all that money in the first place. Well, Omi created and ran an IPTV streaming service called Gears TV Reloaded, which offered customers premium cable channels for a fraction of the price of traditional cable. But the way Omi was able to get these channels was through stripping the copyright protection off, then he'd transmit, store, and then retransmit the content to the subscribers of Gears TV. This operation got huge and at its peak had over 100,000 subscribers because he couldn't beat cable for $15 or $20 a month. Omi was racking in hundreds of thousands of dollars a week and started a YouTube channel to show off his luxurious lifestyle, but he'd inadvertently target himself to be investigated by the IRS. There would be 2 different rounds of the FBI coming into his house and seizing all of his assets. That means his cars, his jewelry, his houses, and anything in those houses. The first time, Omi was still documenting his life for YouTube and just stated that he was raided for failure to pay his taxes. He'd go on to blame his previous tax lady for her inability to pay his taxes on time. The second time was due to copyright infringement, device fraud, wire fraud, money laundering, and tax evasion. This was due to his IPTV service that stole millions of dollars from cable television. In September of 2021, he'd be indicted and was facing 514 years in prison before he'd plead guilty in 2022, and his sentencing was lowered to around 66 months in prison and was ordered to pay $30 million back in restitutions. Omi is currently behind bars and hasn't posted any videos to his channel for over 3 years.
Social media for a while, because this is the moment I've been dreading. Facing 27 and a half years. We all know it started at 500, but I just got sentenced today. I feel like the judge was super fair. He heard everyone's testimony about my character, everyone who came to court. The judge ordered me to 66 months in federal prison, which I feel as though it's fair, for especially how much money I made. I had to pay 10-point-something million in restitution, which they already have, which will be applied to which they already got the money now. And I got to pay another 5.7 million in restitution to the IRS. So, you know, I'll be home in the next 2 to 3 years. I hope you guys continue to support Reloaded Universe. I got 60 days. So once again, this has been a long time coming. I had a seizure done in 2019. I got charged in 2021. You know, the judge was super lenient but fair.
This is what happens when you take advantage of gray areas on the internet. He did seem like a fairly nice guy, but let his schemes catch up to him. But this next guy on the list is way worse than Omi ever could be. Austin Jones was a YouTuber who blew up from doing acapella covers of different songs on his channel. At his peak, he gained around 500,000 subscribers and impressed millions with his singing ability. But behind the scenes, when the cameras were off, he'd use his popularity to prey on unexpected minors. Austin thought he was in the clear, but these allegations came to light in 2015 by some old fans of Austin. Screenshots were shared that saw Austin Jones asking for inappropriate videos from young kids. Another content creator helped spread the allegations, which saw even more ex-fans come out against Austin, exposing the type of person he was through private messages from his iCloud account and his Facebook account. With his back against the wall, Austin had no choice but to write a statement on Facebook that read, "To my friends, fans, and family, I wanted to explain why I've been off social media and have taken a break from my music. I've been in therapy, seeking help to discover why I communicated with my fans in a way that I have come to fully realize was not appropriate. I'm embarrassed. I'd have conversations online with girls that would involve me asking them to create a video of themselves twerking. Sometimes I'd make videos of myself doing some twerk moves in return. Here's the truth. I never asked them to do anything more than send a twerking video. Nothing ever went beyond that. Ever. I recognize now how odd all this sounds. I recognize how much I have embarrassed myself, my family, and my fans. This is the reason I am coming forward today. I didn't want to wait another day to apologize. To anyone that I have made feel uncomfortable or awkward, I am deeply sorry for the hurt and shame I may have caused you. I never intended to mistreat or humiliate anyone. I also offer a heartfelt and sincere apology to my family, friends, and fans whom I have let down because of my actions. What was I thinking? That's the question I know most of you want to know, and quite frankly, I want to know too. I have decided to take this time to reflect and discover how to grow from this and become a better person. I owe this to my family, my friends, my fans, but most importantly, to me. We as people are not made stronger from our successes, but by the journey we take through mistakes and misfortunes back to the top of the mountain. And that is where I intend to be at the end of this. At the top of the mountain with a stronger sense of those who support me, a greater sense of self, and greater connection to my fans. To those who have and will continue to support me, please know I had never meant to let you down, and I am doing everything I can with the help of my family and friends to pick myself back up and be a better person. Thanks for believing in me. Please be good to each other, and we'll see each other soon." After this statement on his Facebook, Austin would also post a video to his YouTube channel. This video was called "Setting the Record Straight." During this video, he pretty much said that the videos he requested weren't supposed to be sexual in any way. They were just dance moves, and he never viewed them in any other way besides dance moves. In order to stop some of the hate that Austin was getting, he would focus more so on his mental health and how his actions, remember that it was his actions which caused all of this hate in the first place, made him feel like he was going to take his own life.
There are a lot of rumors and a lot of lies. They're just not true. Nothing ever went further than twerking videos. There were never any nudes, never any physical contact. It never happened. So I just have to get that out there because nothing ever went further. Now, I was on tour at the time that this came out. This was in May, this was early May. I was on the road when this got blasted out there. We were in Boston, it was in the middle of the night, and when this happened, I made the decision to come home from tour. I knew that I couldn't be on the road under this stress, under this pressure, under all of this drama and controversy online. It wasn't something that I could emotionally handle. A lot of people ask, why did the initial statement take so long to get up? I put up a text statement and apology addressing the situation, but it took me about a week to do so. People thought that I was being a coward. People thought that I didn't want to confront the situation. They thought that I was just blowing it off. That's not true. As I said, I was on the road. I was on tour. We were all the way in Boston. On that drive, the only thing I did was look at my phone and look at all the hate and death threats. I got lost in it. I would read every little comment, every little person telling me to myself, every person telling me that life wasn't worth living for me anymore. And I'm a pretty insecure person to where negative comments like that really impact me. It's not something I can just brush off. And that entire ride home, I read those comments and I began researching different suicide methods. I started planning my suicide. It's something I was very, very serious about, and I was determined to do. I finally got home. When we got back, I didn't even step foot in my house. My family took me immediately to the hospital, and I was hospitalized for my suicide tendencies. They were very worried, and I understand why they were. I had never been hospitalized before for my depression or my past self-harm or my suicide thoughts. So this was the first time, and maybe I'll open up about it in a separate video, but this was a very, very interesting and emotional experience for me.
After this video though, things kind of went back to normal for Austin. Austin started to make videos again and write music once again as well. But 2 years later, after everything died down, Austin was arrested for soliciting CP from two 14-year-old girls. An investigation into the allegations was started where detectives confiscated Austin's phone so that they could look through it. What they found were messages between Austin and the two 14-year-old girls in which he'd request disturbing videos from them and pictures from them. These requests were persistent and pressured these girls into doing what he asked of them, because if they didn't, then he'd stop talking to them altogether. Austin used his fame and power to pressure these girls into sending whatever he wanted, and trust me, it looked like he got it. After being arrested, Austin would pay his own bail and would be placed under house arrest without access to his phone. Austin Jones would eventually be found guilty of soliciting CP from young kids and for his other crimes, and was ordered to serve 10 years in jail. This last creator was part of one of the biggest scandals in YouTube history. Ruby Franke was part of the channel A Passengers on YouTube, a YouTube channel that I was also going to make a video on well before these new horrific details came out about how Ruby Franke tortured her son and daughter over the summertime. This all came to light on August 30th when a boy would show up to a neighboring house bound with duct tape and visible wounds. He'd tell the neighbor that he needed help, and the neighbor called the police, who later arrested Ruby Franke and her friend Jody for 6 counts of child abuse. In December, Ruby took a plea deal with shocking new details about what she did to her son and daughter throughout the summertime. Ruby stated that she tortured her son from May until August of 2023, forcing him to work outside without shoes on and during a hot summer day without an adequate amount of water. She'd also physically abuse him and would put restraints on his wrists and ankles so that he wouldn't run away. She'd also admit to kicking him with boots on and forcing his head underwater to try and suffocate him. She'd do almost the same thing to her daughter, who was 9 years old at the time. She'd force her to run up and down the road with no shoes on and would tell both of them that she was doing this out of acts of love. Now they were possessed and needed to repent for their sins. Ruby Franke has been in jail, but her sentencing hasn't happened yet, but does face 1 to 30 years in jail when she is sentenced. Her husband would file for a divorce, and her family doesn't associate with her anymore. This was a scary act with horrific details that completely shattered the image image of a family-friendly YouTube channel that seemingly had it all, but in the matter of seconds, lost it all. Now, these creators are all horrible in their own way. Franke and her situation was pretty new and showcased just how sinister YouTubers can be behind the scenes, while making themselves look great in front of the camera. Did you think I forgot anyone in particular? Let me know in the comments below. But this has been the end of the video. If you have any creators or video ideas that you want me to talk about or look into, the best way you can suggest them to me is through my Instagram DMs or on my Discord. Now, I say this every video, but there are major updates happening right now to the Discord where you can earn Bills coins to earn roles within the server. So come through and check it out. If you found yourself enjoying the video at any point throughout this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps out the channel and gets us closer to 200,000 subscribers, and also helps you stay up to date with the newer uploads to the channel. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Throughout the past few years, a lot of the bigger and older YouTube titans have started to fall from their mountaintops. Matthew Santoro, for example, was a creator who took off pretty quickly, but started to slow down after Grade A Under Ray made a video against his content. He'd end up leaving YouTube a few years back, but returned just a month ago. The same thing happened with Guava Juice.